Hello, everyone. Today we will be talking about creating our first web page, and I will take you through the steps to get basically a shell of a web page started, and then we will go into adding a little bit of content into it. So let's go ahead and see what we need in order to do that. We will need to understand the required elements, which I will be listing and showing you how to put into the web page itself. And like I said initially, we won't have any content, but we will be creating a valid web page. But don't worry, we will add some content. We'll add a few lines of text to get started. And then in the next upcoming videos, I'll show you how to add images, some video, embedded videos. We'll even add some audio into your web page as well. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to need to do is open up your favorite text editor. All of the Windows operating systems come with the standard Notepad, which you can find in the Windows accessories. And for, let's see, I will show you how to do that. We'll switch on over here to my other screen, and that's for later, so I'll minimize that. Alright, so to find Notepad, it's pretty easy. You can do one of two things. You can find it if you click the Start menu and you click on any of these letters, or even that symbol there will bring you to a grid of letters. And Notepad is actually located in Windows Accessories, so we'll click W for Windows. We will locate the Windows Accessories folder and expand it. And notice you have a lot of accessories in here, but one of them being Notepad. And if you just click on that, then you'll see a blank Notepad page open up. And this is perfectly fine. A lot of people use Notepad. However, I do like to use Notepad++. So if you want to use Notepad++, then we will need to download and install that. And you can do that by just going to Google and type in Notepad++. It will actually bring you to a to where you can see the downloads. If you just click there, and then all you need to do is just download the most current release. Right now it's saying 7.8.9 Stand with Hong Kong. That just, to me, I'm not sure why they put that, but that is the most current release. I guessing they're promoting Standing with Hong Kong. I don't know. But in any case, just go ahead and download the most current version. After you download it, you will need to install it, so don't forget to install it. Okay, so once you install it, you will see, you should be able to find it just by typing in Notepad. Notepad, and this is in the search bar, ++, and it will show you there. It will also, like I said earlier, I actually didn't show you the second way to finding Notepad, but you can also just search for Notepad in the search bar in Windows. So go ahead and get the Notepad opened. Let me close that. That was from before. So go ahead and get Notepad or Notepad++ opened up. So I have mine opened up here. Okay. So what is the first thing we need to type? Well, in order to tell the browser of which doc type standards to use, we need to type our doc type statement as the very first statement or element in our web page. This will tell the browser to use the HTML5 doc type standard, because this is the syntax for the HTML5 doc type statement. So let's go ahead and get that typed in as the very first line. And notice how I am typing some of it uppercase, some of it lowercase. The case really doesn't matter at all. You could type the whole thing in uppercase or the whole thing in lowercase, and it'll work just fine. So it's not case sensitive. I just like to use this as a coding standard just for easy readability. Okay, so let's see now what the next step is here. Okay, so next we'll be typing an opening HTML tag and a closing HTML tag. You don't have to leave this much space in between the opening and closing, but I do like to leave at least one enter or one space. So let's go ahead and type HTML and leave a space or two, and then a closing HTML tag. And notice that the opening and the closing are almost identical, with the exception of the / in front of the name HTML. Okay, so now that we have that, we will see that the next set of tags is our head section. Now, we do need the opening and closing tags here. These tags actually tell the browser of any special instructions or scripts or other non-content items. And non-content items just refers to content that will not be displayed to the user. So basically it's code for the browser to read, but not display. So for instance, if you were, say, importing a file from a CSV file, if you were importing the data from a CSV file in order to be used for display on your web page, the import code would go in the head section. We will not get into that. That's probably a designing web page part 2 class, so we won't be doing that here, but just to let you know that between the head section is only code that the browser will execute or read, but not necessarily display any content like text or images or anything like that. So let's go ahead and type in our head tags, and remember they must go in between the HTML tags. So here we go. We got the opening head tag and the closing head tag. Okay. Now I'm going to leave a space after the head because we got another set of tags that go after it. But before that, we will need to insert some title tags into the head section. Now the title tags is sort of an exception to the rule about not displaying content. Now, what is typed in between the title tags doesn't show on the web page itself, but it does show in the tab of the web page. So just for instance, on our say the Wildlife Foundation website, you see up here in the tab of the web page says World Animal Foundation. Well, this is being displayed because it's appearing in the title tags of that web page. Okay, so let's go ahead and get those tags inserted into the head section. And in this case, I do like to keep them vertical, just because usually tab titles are not very long. So it's not like it'll run it all the way off of my, all the way over to the side. And I am still able to maintain readability. It's perfectly fine if you want to stack them. There's it doesn't really matter. In fact, if every single piece of this code was on just one line, the web page would still display properly. The only reason why I'm stacking my tags is for readability, so that when I go back to my code, I can easily read where every section is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back up here. All right, so now the next thing that we'll need to type in is our meta tag. This meta tag, and there are several of them, but this particular meta tag tells the browser to scale the content based on the screen size. Okay, so I already have this typed up into a little notepad document. So I'm going to simply copy and paste it into my web page code, but you may need to press pause to get that all typed in. Now make sure you type it in exactly as you see it. If you see a space, make sure you put a space. If you see an equal sign, quotations, dashes, everything needs to be typed, the comma, it all needs to be typed exactly as it appears, because if not, then a syntax error will occur, and 9 times out of 10, syntax errors will really mess up your web page and things will not display properly. Sometimes they won't display at all, depending on what that syntax error is. So just a little piece of advice: when you're coding your web page, pay careful attention to your syntax. And syntax just refers to the way you're writing it. All the characters need to be there. All of the text. If you misspell something, like if I were to leave out the O here, then this may not work properly. Okay, so you want to spell everything correctly. You want all of the characters that are required to be there, and you just want to make sure everything is correct. Okay, so go ahead and press pause and get that all typed into your web page, and when you're ready, come on back and we'll move forward. Okay, now that you have that all typed in, let's go ahead and insert our next set of tags. Okay, the next set of tags, which is our body tags, are very important tags on the web page. Well, all of them are, but the reason the body tags are important is because that is where all of our content goes. And in this case, the content I'm referring to is the content that the user will actually see and interact with on your web page. So text and images, embedded videos, forms, anything that the user will see or interact with will go in the body section. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our body tags typed in. So first we need the opening body tag, and then I'll hit enter a couple times and type in the closing body tags. Okay, now once you have that typed in and everything looks good, then we'll need to save this web page. Okay, so if you need to take a moment, press pause, make sure that what you've typed in so far, everything is spelled correctly and you have everything properly coded. Then go ahead and do that and come back. But for now, we will go ahead and start saving this web page. So since this is the first time I'm saving my web page, I'll need to go to File and Save As. Okay. And what we need to do now is find a location on our computer, or if you're using a USB drive or something like that, then you'll want to navigate to that. I am going to store my website files in my documents folder. So I'll go to documents, and what I will do is create a new folder. If you've already got one created, that's fine. I haven't created a folder yet, so I'm just going to go here to this little special icon. I'm in my documents folder. I'm going to go to my special icon here that says create. If you hover over it, it says create a new folder, so we'll do that. And it automatically prompts me to rename it. So I'm going to do my website on wild animals. So I will just call this folder Wild Animals Website. Okay. And then what I'll do is after I name it, I'll click into it to make sure that it shows up here at the top where it says Save In. Okay, so make sure you're in that folder. Now, what we'll need to do is notice by default the text editor gives this file an extension of .txt. If we save it with a .txt extension, our computer will not know that it's a web page. Therefore, it will not open it in a web browser. And every time you do try to open it, it will open straight to the code view. And we don't want that, okay? So what we need to do is we need to make this extension become .html. There are other extensions that can be used like .htm, but for the purposes of this course, we are going to stick with .html. It is still the way web pages are written. A lot of the what you see is what you get web page editors like Web Expressions and some other ones. If you build web pages using those, they'll by default maybe save them as .htm, and that's fine. But like I said, we are going to use .html. In addition to that, if you are creating your home page, which we will go ahead and make this one be our home page, it does need to be named index. Okay, index.html will be the name of this web page. The reason why your home page needs to be named index, which also another name for the home page could be default, D-E-F-A-U-L-T. Index or default is what web servers actually look for as the home page. So you, within your website, no matter how many web pages you have, one of them needs to be your home page, and that page needs to be named index.html or default.html. But let's just stick with index.html. Okay, make sure you actually type the .html and the .txt no longer appears in the file name. So let's go ahead and hit save. Now what we're going to do is navigate to that folder. Okay, so open up the area where you created your folder and find your folder. Click into it by double clicking it. Notice that the index.html that I just saved has a web browser icon. Now, depending on what your default settings are, you may see that this icon is a Microsoft Edge icon or an Opera icon or Internet Explorer, or if you use Firefox, you'll see the Firefox icon. My computer's default web browser is Chrome, so I have the Chrome icon. And just keep in mind that no matter what your computer default web browser is, this web page will be displayed in any web browser that the user uses. So just because I have a Chrome icon here doesn't mean that this web page will not display in Edge or Opera or Firefox. It will. This is just here because that's my default web browser. And like I said, yours may be different. But let's go ahead and double click, just double click it. Okay. What will happen is a web browser, your web browser will be pulled up and you'll see a web page. like I said, we have nothing in it. But look here, I have a web page that's completely blank. I know that this is the web page I just created, because if we look at the file path here, I see that this file is being displayed in the browser, and the file is coming from the Documents Wild Animal website folder, and the actual file being displayed is index.html. This is called the URL. Well, technically, since this is being stored on my computer, it's a file path. But once we push our files to the web server, we will refer to this as the URL. Okay, and notice here that because in my code there's nothing in the title tag here, that up here by default it's just displaying the name of the web page. So let's go ahead and edit our code to change the title and add a few text statements here onto the web page. Okay, so I still have my code displaying. However, if you have closed your code page and you need to reopen it, let me show you how to do that. So navigate to the folder where your file is stored. Now remember, if we just simply double click this, the computer recognizes this as a web page, so it'll just open in the browser. We don't have access to edit our code in the browser. So what we'll need to do is select it, right click the file, and if you're using Notepad++, choose Edit with Notepad++. If you're using Notepad, you can do Open With and then go for Notepad. Mac users may be using TextEdit, so you will want to open that with TextEdit. So in my case, since I'm using Notepad++, I will choose the option Edit with Notepad++. My code appears. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the web page and the browser view side by side. So what I'm doing here is I'm just so I could see both of them at the same time. So what I'll do here is I'll edit my title and content, then I'll save it, then I'll come over here and just simply refresh it to see the changes. So this is very convenient. This means I don't have to close the browser every time and reopen it. Okay, so go ahead and get your code pulled up, and within the title section, type the title that you want. I'm going to use My Favorite Wild Animals. Okay, and like I said, you can type whatever you want. So go ahead and type that in. Now just press save or Control S to save that, or you can do file and just save. You don't need to do save as because you've saved it already one time. Once you saved that, go over to the web browser view and just refresh. Notice how the title of my web page has changed to reflect the text that I've entered between the title tags here. Okay? So next, let's go ahead and go in between the body tags. Let's type a set of div tags. So I'm going to type the opening div tag and the closing div tag. Okay? And within that div tag, I will just simply type hello world. Okay? Now, because everything is getting quite smushed together here, I'll go ahead between the closing head and the opening body, put a space. Between the body and my first set of div tags, I'll just put a space there. Alright, so now that we have our div tag and our hello world, let's press save and refresh the browser. And yay, we have our hello world showing up. Okay. Now if I want to do another line of text, I'll just simply do another set of div tags. Oops. And then in between those, I'll say, okay, this is another another line of text. All right, so I saved that. We'll refresh here, and yay, we've got another line of text. Okay, so that was it. That's all we needed to get our first web page started. Check out the next videos. I'll be showing you how to do more things like add images and other content such as embedded videos.